This is Seventh Generation Warfare, and I'm your current host, John Nelson. In this episode, I'll be talking about children in a local coin shop and the demise of colleges. Now, those two things probably seem like they have not a whole lot in common, but they do because they both have to do with something that happened to me recently. So, I was recently featured in a Yankee stacking video. If you have not seen the YouTube channel Yankee Stacking, he's got a lot of subscribers. He talks about gold and silver, stacking gold and silver primarily, and he visits a local coin shop that is local for him and also conveniently is local for me. So I was in there buying gold for my youngest son, and Yankee from Yankee Stacking just so happened to be in there, and I got featured on his video. I thought I sounded a little crazy and looked a little wide-eyed and scary in that video. So this video is to elaborate on some of the things. I did explain some of it, but some of it was cut. Some of it I didn't get a chance to explain because of just the format of the scene of the store, and also he was having some technical difficulties with his camera. So I was in there buying gold for my youngest son for his birthday. My my parents have offered all their grandchildren. They will contribute to a 529 plan. That's the name of the plan. I couldn't think in the video, but a 529 plan is a education fund that is a government subsidized program that gets people to incentivizes people to uh, invest in traditional avenues that conveniently benefit Wall Street and don't necessarily benefit yourself. But there is tax benefits when you spend the money that you've invested for the purposes of college education for your children. Also, it can be used for other things, other forms of training, and even private high schools and things like that. However, it is still extremely limited. If you do not use it for those purposes, there are penalties that come along with it. So I was not interested in that, and we'll get into some of the reasons why later. But I don't know that I can guarantee my kids will go to college, and so it seems not a wise decision to invest into something that I would be penalized for pulling the money out of. But before I get to my thoughts on college and all that, I just wanted to talk on why I brought my kids to the local coin shop. If you watch the video, you can hear them in the background making some noise, and that might also be one of the reasons why he didn't include more of my interview, was because the audio with the kids in the background might have been too interrupting. I don't know. But so why did I bring my kids to the local coin shop? Well, in this particular coin shop, there's typically a wait. You typically wait in line, which is teach my kids patience. But that's not the real reason. I want to see my kids. I want my kids to see that I value precious metals, things that are tangible, and see that precious metals have value. They will may or may not receive some precious metals from me when I die. I hope to invest in real estate and other tangible, real assets, and not have a very large stack of precious metals when I go. But nonetheless, should I die with precious metals in hand, I don't want them to just think that they're valueless junk and turn to somebody at a state auction place to just get rid of them for whatever. I want them to appreciate them for what they are, a limited, finite resource that takes human effort to extract from the earth. But also, I really hope to see in the future a world that has sound money, and sound money would be backed by something tangible that is limited in supply, that requires effort to harness, such as precious metals. I'd like to see sound money backed by gold and silver, and I don't need to wait for society to do that for me. if my kids value these precious metals, and if my grandkids value these precious metals, in a few generations, not even a few generations, there's no reason why we can't be settling inter familial debts with precious metals. So if one of my kids becomes a mechanic, or one of my grandkids is a mechanic, and another grandkid is a farmer, and another grandkid is a doctor or something, they can be exchanging. I hope there's a certain level of camaraderie in our family, that people do things for favors, or do it for just the sake of doing it for somebody. But where there is a need to settle a debt in a money, I hope that my family can settle it in precious metals. And that is starting today. I'm not waiting. I'm not relying on the government to end the Fed and to go back on a gold standard. I am setting the framework for that to take place in my family, possibly one generation or just a handful of generations away. So that's why I'm taking my kids to the local coin shop, so they can see precious metals and can start to appreciate their value. So let's talk about college. I think colleges are dead. And I don't think Yankee fully got that, because he said to me that he implied that my kids would still go to college or something. And no, colleges are more or less dead. That isn't to say that in the future there won't still be utility for engineering and some fields like that. But I think 20 years is a long time for in the case of my kids, or 16, 14 years before my kids would be college age. I think in that 14 years, we'll probably see a third of the universities close their doors. And the reason for that is, there's a couple reasons. First, they treated people like garbage, maybe more than 16 years. They treated people like garbage during COVID. And although it didn't really affect their roles, the kids who are currently in college and who will be having kids over the next 10 years, they'll keep that in mind. They're gonna start to realize, even my generation, I went to college 15 years ago, and a lot of my peers who went to college weren't any better off for going. So although the mindset still seems to be in the people who have college age kids right now, that they have to send their kids to college, at some point the masses are going to wake up to the idea that it's not a wise economic decision. And that'll probably really start to turn in the next 10 years. But also in COVID, they treated people like shit. So in 30 years, when those people's kids are college age, that'll be another reason why they won't want to send them. Also, the rise of artificial intelligence makes a lot of the traditional formats of education hard to score and grade. I've already heard of some professors who are going to, instead of written tests or writing a thesis for the semester, they're already starting to go to interviews. So at the end of the semester, instead of a final exam, you'll have a final interview, and the professor will take 10 or 15 minutes with you and ask you a bunch of questions, and they'll basically give you a pass or fail grade, because they're based on how well you know the material, because there's no way to know if certainly any of the homework assignment, whether the person actually comprehends it, or if they're just using artificial intelligence or the internet to do it. And people saying, well, there's anti-AI scoring software or something that professors can use to see if somebody has cheated with the use of AI. I don't really think so. I mean, I'd like to learn more about that, if that's actually a thing, but I could be very creative if I was in university of taking what the AI was giving me and reworking it so that it did not appear the same as what the AI gave me. But that's also, it's not just AI. This trend has been really around since the beginning of search engines. Certainly the beginning of the internet, but the internet wasn't, in my opinion, all that accessible of a place for its first 20 years or whatever. It wasn't until search engines came around that you could educate yourself. And it's becoming apparent who in society has taken over the past 20, 25 years since search engines came about, who has used the resource of the internet for self-betterment and who has used it for masturbatory purposes or entertainment or something other than self-betterment. So human, there's a reason why there's a bit and apple on the Mac computers. It's taking a bite from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, but tree of knowledge, that's what the internet has provided us. And so there's really no limit to, I'm not saying we can become gods. That's not the spiritual angle I'm going here, but there's really no limit to how much we can learn and how much we can better our own situation now that we have the internet and all of humans' collective knowledge basically at our fingertips. And also a lot of BS, the mumblings of AI and the mumblings of bots on the internet are now really starting to clog it up. But so those are my thoughts on college. I don't think I don't think the general population is going to educate themselves. The capacity's there, but slowly more and more people will take that route instead of getting hugely in debt. Anyways, I'm really rambling. This wasn't really all that thought-provoking of a video. I just thought I would share a couple of thoughts for anyone who saw that Yankee stacking video. This is clarifying why I was in there, what I was doing, and hopefully you got something out of it. So this is 7th Generation Warfare. I'm your current host, John Nelson, and this was Children in a Local Coin Shop and the Demise of Colleges. Thank you.